All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about replacing legacy platforms with refined sites. So when thinking about IT tools and services, there are numerous applications and platforms available for organizations to make use of for diverse purposes. A lot of these applications are built to be highly specialized and built for fulfilling a particular need. This definitely has its benefits, since it's understandably difficult to find one-size-fits-all apps for different diverse needs. This can, however, result in legacy platforms that have been there for a long time within an organization, even though they've been serving a particular purpose for a long time. This also has its downsides, the most obvious one being the cost of subscribing to and maintaining multiple platforms and apps for different diverse needs. The costs in this sense are both financial, since you need to pay for each of the platforms, but also administrative, as each platform needs to be administered and maintained. Related to this is also the problem of paying for an app or platform that is underutilized, thereby tricky to justify the costs for. And this is where the idea of replacing these legacy platforms comes in. In the case of Confluence and Jira, these are powerful and flexible base platforms that can be used for multiple diverse purposes. And the power of refined sites can be used to take this even further. You're able to do more for less. Replacing legacy platforms means saving costs, both financial and administrative, and putting the existing Atlassian stack to use for more than what you might have initially procured this for. And then using sites on Refined, you can bring all the diverse content created and housed within Confluence and Jira to life and make this content relevant, accessible, and actionable for stakeholders both internally and externally. This is an interesting area that we've heard of from our customers. They sometimes come to Atlassian and Refined for one specific purpose or use case, but then with the flexibility afforded to them by Atlassian plus Refined, it's easy that they realize quickly that they can retire some of the legacy platforms that they might have in place and move those use cases into refined sites. Here's one example of what this could look like. So if you have a company already using Confluence and Refined, they're using this for an intranet site. However, they're also maintaining a documentation site on a legacy platform outside of Confluence and need to spend resources on maintaining and administering this. It's quite easy to move the documentation into Confluence instead of using the legacy system. By doing this, they're making more use of their Confluence subscription as well as Refined subscription and use that platform for both uses. All the while, this move is also saving them the cost of paying for the legacy platform, since that can now be retired, and also eliminate redundancy. Here's a visual example of what this could look like. So having your documentation on WordPress, for example, it does serve its purpose, of course, but it has its costs in terms of being a separate platform that needs to be paid for and maintained. And here's the same documentation now moved into Confluence, presented on a dedicated documentation site with Refined. The end users are still getting the same content served in a customizable and themed UI, and they get a pleasant experience with hopefully minimal disruption from the move. And for the admin, it's one less platform to think about, pay for, and administer, and they can get more value out of their Confluence and Refined subscriptions.